Is this one I nod?
It's live.
Okay. Many Daytonians, myself included, are not very familiar with Old North Dayton. So given our location tonight, it seemed a good idea, an idea cooked up last week, to present some of the background and culture of this historic immigrant community. Driving through the neighborhood, I was intrigued by a couple sitting on their porch. I stopped to talk, and our chat on the porch became an invitation to share in their festive meal marking the end of Ramadan. They are members of the Ahiska Turk community, refugees from Russia, who have moved in large numbers to North Dayton in the last several decades. The Ahiska Turks are continuing the tradition of immigrant communities in North Dayton. The blue line shows the number of U.S. residents born abroad, and the brown line shows the number as a percentage of the total population. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, immigrants formed up to 15% of the U.S. population. This declined mid-century, but picked up again in recent decades. A significant percentage of these early 20th century immigrants were from Central and Eastern Europe, as shown on this graph. Attracted by a labor shortage in the U.S. factories, Poles, Hungarians, Lithuanians, Czechs, and Slovaks flocked to American cities. Many settled in North Dayton. So what defines Old North Dayton? It's generally considered to be the pocket created by the Great Miami River as it joins the Stillwater and curves to meet the Mad River at Deeds Point. The northeast boundary is roughly along Stanley Avenue, though you may note that this map identifies Old North Dayton further north. The most dramatic immigrant story may be the Kossuth colony. In 1905, J.D. Moskowitz, native Hungarian and immigrant labor agent, created the settlement to provide a secure labor force for Barney and Smith, maker of railroad cars. Moskowitz sought to create a model city on 14 acres north of Leo Street, where Hungarian workers could retain their language and customs. Positive amenities included 2 stores, a bank, and a beer hall, as well as Moskowitz himself, who served as translator, legal aid, and general go-between to the strange new world of the United States. However, workers' rent was deducted from their paychecks, and shopping at the colony store was mandatory. 2 coins of scrip are shown here. The debts they incurred kept them tied to the colony and their jobs at Barney and Smith. Most controversial was the 12-foot-high wooden fence around the entire community, shown at the back of this picture. It had a single gate with a watchman controlling who went in and out. At the left of the picture is the clubhouse, containing the stores and saloon. Community pressure soon loosened the restrictions on visitors. The fence was torn down to make rescue rafts during the 1913 flood, and the demise of Barney and Smith in 1921 led to the official end of the colony. But the houses, seen here on Mack Street, survive, as does the Hungarian flavor of Old North Dayton. But the Hungarians were not the only ethnic group to settle in North Dayton, as this rather grainy picture of Polish dancers in the 1930s shows. Though the immigrants learned English and became citizens, they held on to their culture, notably through music and dance, and the rituals of family and community, food, holidays, and festivals. Churches were a major center of immigrant life. All within roughly 1 square mile in North Dayton are, clockwise from the top left, Our Lady of the Rosary, originally a German Catholic church, St. Adalbert's Polish Catholic Church, Holy Cross Lithuanian Catholic Church, and St. Stephen's Hungarian Catholic Church. The 1913 flood hit North Dayton very hard, situated as it is between the Great Miami and Mad Rivers. In fact, it might be said they all became Mad Rivers. Catherine Kennedy Brown at Kiwi and Webster wrote in her diary, "Now I rush upstairs, order the boys to take up the rugs, furniture, typewriter, books. Now the Tiffany goes. Every piece is upstairs except piano." Such a night, 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, terrific fear, a storm raging without. Will the rain never stop? And yet see the fires. Coal cars in the railroad area are burning. The heart of Dayton seems one awful blaze. Everyone is praying, walking the floor. The following Sunday, she wrote, "Sherwood walks to town and NCR, brings back awful tales of the sights and smells." And later, "Sherwood starts for New Haven. Now I must do the foraging, standing in the bread line, etc." Part of Dayton's aviation history took place in this neighborhood. McCook Field, located west of Interstate 75, was developed by Colonel Deeds and served as the Army's airfield and aviation testing grounds from 1917 to 1927. These pilots were photographed in its final year before Army operations moved to Wright Field, now Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Though Hungarian, Lithuanian, or Polish is rarely heard on Troy or Valley streets these days, the descendants of these immigrants continue to celebrate their ethnic heritage through music, dance, and food, and festivals such as World Affair and clubs like this one. The ethnic history of the neighborhood also survives in the built environment. In 1912, Sigmund Zizopolski built a general store, which became a gathering place for the Polish community. Two further generations of the family continued the business, selling Sig's trademark handmade sausage until 1989. Thankfully, the building, now listed on the National Register of Historic Places, was saved and renovated. Here you see the interior of the building, past and present. It reopened as Eleanor's Amber Rose restaurant, giving the rest of us the opportunity to enjoy the Central and Eastern European cuisines of Old North Dayton. This has been the briefest look into the history of this intriguing neighborhood. To explore it further, check out these resources from the public library. Portrait of a Neighborhood, Old North Dayton, began as a cookbook to celebrate the anniversary of the E.C. Doran Branch Library and grew into an oral history project. Even more interviews are available on the video Common Ground, Stories from Old North Dayton. My accelerated high-speed expeditious research would not have been possible without the generous assistance of librarians from the E.C. Doran Branch Library on Troy Street and the local history room of the main library downtown. I hope this has whetted your appetite to explore more of Old North Dayton.